Her daughter's genius hit deploy. The billionaire CEO saw the servers breathe again. The room held its breath. Every engineer, every executive, every person who understood what was at stake watched the screen. The teenager's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She had been typing for 11 minutes straight. No hesitation. No second guessing. Just pure, focused precision. Then she pressed enter. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the metrics shifted. Request queues began to clear. Server loads normalized. The system that had been choking on its own logic suddenly remembered how to function. Someone exhaled loudly. Then another. Relief spread through the room like oxygen returning to starved lungs. The girl stepped back from the terminal. She looked tired but calm. A man in an expensive suit stood near the back of the room. Elliot Vane. Billionaire. CEO. The person whose entire empire had just been saved by someone who was not supposed to be there. He stared at the girl. Not at the screen. At her. The way she tilted her head when she concentrated. The way her fingers moved. The way she processed problems in layers instead of lines. He had seen that before. Years ago. In someone he had lost. He turned slowly and found a woman standing near the wall. Quiet. Unnoticed by everyone except him. Mara. His voice came out hoarse. How old is she? Mara met his eyes. Her answer was steady. Unflinching. 15. Elliot's face went pale. He looked back at the girl. Did the math. Felt the ground shift beneath him. The girl turned and saw him staring. She frowned slightly, confused by the intensity. Then Mara spoke again, her voice low enough that only Elliot could hear. Her name is Lena. Elliot's throat closed. Because he knew that name. He had suggested it once. A lifetime ago. In a conversation about futures they never built. He whispered. She's mine. It was not a question. Mara's silence was answer enough. Have you ever ignored something so long that by the time you noticed, it had already saved you? Have you ever realized that the most brilliant person in the room was the one you never thought to look at? This is the story of a system that almost collapsed. A teenage girl who saw what no one else could. And a billionaire CEO who discovered that the daughter he never knew existed just saved everything he built. Stay until the end to hear what Elliot said when he finally spoke to Lena. And to find out what happens when genius doesn't wait for permission. If you believe that talent doesn't need a title to matter, hit that like button right now. And subscribe to Mr. Ellington Love Lines, where every story reminds us that the people we overlook might be the ones holding everything together. Let me take you back. Not to the moment she fixed it. But to the moment everything started breaking. And no one knew why. Nothing crashed. And that was the problem. It started on a Wednesday at 2:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Elliot Vane was in a meeting with the board when his CTO interrupted. Oliver Lewis never interrupted board meetings. He was too disciplined. Too aware of hierarchy. But he walked in anyway. Elliot looked up, irritated. This better be critical. Oliver's face was calm, but his voice was tight. We have a situation. What kind? The kind I don't understand yet. Elliot stood. Excuse me. He followed Oliver out of the boardroom and down 2 floors to the operations center. It was a large open space filled with monitors, engineers, and the constant hum of a company that processed billions of transactions a day. But today, the hum felt off. Elliot scanned the screens. What am I looking at? Oliver pointed to a dashboard. Request times. Normally between 10 and 50 milliseconds. Right now, they are climbing past 300. That's still functional. For now. But look at the trend. The graph showed a steady, unrelenting climb. Elliot frowned. What's causing it? We don't know. We have run diagnostics. Checked every service. Reviewed recent deployments. Everything looks normal. Then why is it slowing down? Oliver hesitated. It's like the system is second-guessing itself. Elliot stared at him. Systems don't second-guess. This one is. Elliot walked closer to the monitors. Engineers were clustered in groups, speaking in low, tense voices. One of them, a senior architect named Ben, looked up. Sir, we think it might be a recursive loop in the transaction validator. Something is causing it to recheck its own logic. Can you roll it back? We tried. The rollback failed. How does a rollback fail? Ben's jaw tightened. I don't know. Elliot's phone buzzed. A message from his head of communications. Media is picking up on the slowdown. Do we have a statement? He typed back. Not yet. Buy me time. He turned to Oliver. How long before this becomes critical? Oliver checked his tablet. If the trend continues, we will hit system-wide failures in 4 hours. 4 hours to figure out what no one understands. Elliot looked around the room. Some of the best engineers in the world. Decades of combined experience. And no one had an answer. She didn't belong on the floor. Mara Quinn was not supposed to be in the building. She did not work there. She had not worked there in 16 years. But when her daughter asked to visit, Mara could not say no. Lena had been obsessed with Vane systems since she was 12. She read their technical blogs. Studied their architecture. Taught herself their stack. Mara had tried to discourage it. Gently. Indirectly. But Lena was relentless. So when a former colleague offered to arrange a tour, Mara agreed. She thought it would be harmless. A few hours. In and out. She did not expect to walk into a crisis. They arrived at the building just after 3:00 p.m. Security checked them in. A junior engineer named Priya met them in the lobby. Welcome to Vane Systems. I will be showing you around today. Lena's eyes were bright with excitement. Thank you so much. I have been waiting for this forever. Priya smiled. Let's start with the operations center. It's usually pretty quiet, but you will get a sense of scale. They took the elevator up. When the doors opened, Mara immediately felt it. The tension. The controlled panic. Priya hesitated. It looks like something's going on. Maybe we should come back another time. But Lena had already stepped off the elevator. She was staring at the monitors. Mara followed her. Lena, we should go. Lena did not respond. She was reading the dashboards. Her eyes moving rapidly across data streams. Priya walked over. Seriously, we should leave. This is a secure situation. Lena pointed at one of the graphs. That's a validation loop. Priya blinked. What? Your transaction validator. It's looping. It's rechecking its own output. Priya's expression shifted from polite to confused. How do you know that? Lena turned to face her. Because I have seen this before. Not at this scale. But the pattern is the same. Mara touched Lena's shoulder. Sweetheart, let's not get in the way. But Lena was already walking toward one of the engineering clusters. Mara followed, mortified. An engineer looked up, annoyed. Can I help you? Lena's voice was calm. You tried rolling back, right? The engineer's eyes narrowed. Who are you? That doesn't matter. Did you try rolling back? Yes. And it failed because the loop is in the rollback verification itself. You can't undo it with the same logic that is causing it. The engineer stared at her. Then looked at his colleague. Who is this kid? Mara stepped forward. I'm sorry. We were just touring. We will leave. But the second engineer was looking at Lena differently now. Wait. What do you mean the loop is in the rollback verification? Lena gestured to the screen. Your system is checking whether the rollback is safe. But the safety check is using the same validator that is malfunctioning. So it is stuck in a loop asking itself if it is okay to trust itself. The room started to quiet. More engineers turned to listen. Lena continued. You have to bypass the validator entirely. Manually approve the rollback at the infrastructure level. The first engineer shook his head. That's not possible. We don't have manual override on that module. Then you need to build one. The second engineer was already typing. She's right. Look at this log. The rollback is waiting for validation clearance that will never come. Oliver Lewis appeared at Mara's side. He looked at Lena, then at Mara. Who are you? Mara's voice was quiet. Nobody. We were just leaving. But Oliver was not looking at her anymore. He was looking at Lena. What's your name? Lena Quinn. How old are you? 15. Oliver's eyes widened. Then he looked at the engineers. Is she right? The second engineer nodded slowly. I think so. Oliver turned back to Lena. Can you show us? Lena glanced at her mother. Mara's face was unreadable. Then Mara gave the smallest nod. Lena stepped forward. The only person who wasn't panicking. Lena pulled up a chair and sat down at the terminal. Engineers crowded around her. Some skeptical. Some curious. She navigated through the codebase faster than most of them could follow. One of the senior engineers, Ben, leaned in. How do you know this architecture? I studied your public documentation. Your tech blogs. Your open source contributions. We don't publish our internal validator logic. Lena glanced at him. You don't have to. If you understand the principles, you can infer the implementation. Ben's respect was visible now. Okay. Show me. Lena traced the request flow. Showed where the validator called itself recursively. Pointed out the condition that should have stopped the loop but did not. Here. This condition relies on a timestamp comparison. But something changed the system clock reference. Oliver stepped closer. Changed how? Probably a deployment. Or a config update. Something small that you would not notice unless you were specifically looking for side effects. Ben checked the deployment logs. We pushed a time zone update yesterday. For daylight saving time compliance. Lena nodded. That would do it. The validator is comparing timestamps across two different time zone references. It thinks the data is inconsistent. So it keeps rechecking. Oliver exhaled. How do we fix it? You bypass the timestamp check. Force the validator to accept the transaction as is. Then you patch the time zone logic. Ben frowned. If we bypass validation, we risk data corruption. Lena's voice was steady. You risk corruption if you do it wrong. But if you isolate the bypass to this specific condition, the risk is minimal. How minimal? Less than the risk of total system failure. Oliver looked at Ben. Do it. Ben hesitated. Then nodded. We will need someone to write the bypass logic. Lena's fingers were already moving. I can do it. Ben looked at Oliver. Oliver looked at Lena. You're 15. Yes. And you think you can patch a production system that handles $1 billion a day in transactions? Lena met his eyes. I already started. She turned the screen so they could see. Clean, elegant code. No wasted lines. No unnecessary complexity. Ben read it. Then read it again. This is good. Lena kept typing. It's not done yet. Oliver pulled out his phone. Typed a message. Sent it. 30 seconds later, Elliot Vane walked into the operations center. How this system was really built. Elliot scanned the room. Saw the crowd around the terminal. Saw Oliver standing off to the side. He walked over. Talk to me. Oliver gestured toward Lena. That girl just diagnosed the problem in under 10 minutes. Elliot looked. Saw a teenager typing code. Then he saw the woman standing behind her. He froze. Mara. She met his eyes. Nodded once. Elliot's mind raced. It had been 16 years. No calls. No emails. No explanations. She had just disappeared. And now she was here. He forced himself to focus. Who is she? He meant the girl. But his eyes stayed on Mara. Mara's voice was calm. Her name is Lena. She's my daughter. Elliot's chest tightened. He looked at Lena again. Studied her. The age was right. The timeline was right. He turned back to Mara. The question in his eyes. Mara's expression did not change. But she did not look away. Oliver interrupted. Sir, she's building a bypass to fix the validator loop. Elliot blinked. Forced himself back to the crisis. A 15-year-old is patching our production system. She's the only one who saw the problem clearly. Elliot walked closer. Stood where he could see the screen. Lena did not look up. She was deep in focus. He watched her work. Precise. Methodical. Confident. He had seen that focus before. In late-night coding sessions. In someone who saw systems as puzzles, not obstacles. He looked at Mara again. She was watching Lena with quiet pride. Elliot's voice was low. We need to talk. Mara nodded. After. He wanted to argue. To demand answers. But the system was still failing. So he stayed silent and watched his daughter, a girl he did not know existed, save his company. When seniority ran out. Ben hovered near Lena, watching every line she wrote. You're using a feature flag. Lena nodded. So we can toggle the bypass off once the time zone patch is deployed. Smart. She continued typing. Another engineer, a woman named Sari, leaned in. You're isolating it to production transactions only? Yes. Internal and test traffic does not need the bypass. Sari nodded approvingly. Have you done this before? Not at this scale. But the logic is the same. Where did you learn this? Books. Blogs. Trial and error. Sari smiled. You're better than half the people we hire. Lena glanced at her. Thank you. She finished the code. Ran it through a syntax checker. Then turned to Ben. Ready for review. Ben read through it carefully. Line by line. Looking for mistakes. He found none. This is production ready. Oliver stepped forward. Deploy it? Ben looked at Lena. You wrote it. You should deploy it. Lena hesitated. Looked at her mother. Mara's voice was gentle. It's your call, sweetheart. Lena turned back to the terminal. She initiated the deployment sequence. Entered her credentials. Then she hovered over the final button. Everyone in the room went still. She pressed deploy. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the metrics began to shift. Request times started dropping. The queue backlog started clearing. The system exhaled. Engineers erupted in relieved laughter. Someone clapped. Then another. Then the whole room. Lena sat back, exhausted. Ben put a hand on her shoulder. You just saved the company. She managed a small smile. I just fixed a bug. Elliot stood at the back of the room, watching. His hands were shaking. Oliver walked over. Sir, are you okay? Elliot did not answer. He was staring at Lena. Oliver followed his gaze. Then looked at Mara. Then back at Elliot. Realization dawned. Oh. Elliot's voice was barely audible. She's mine. Oliver said nothing. Elliot walked toward Mara. She saw him coming. Straightened. They stood face to face for the first time in 16 years. Elliot's voice was rough. Why didn't you tell me? Mara's answer was quiet. Because you had already chosen. A mother's sentence. The operations center began to return to normal. Engineers went back to their stations. Metrics stabilized. Crisis averted. But in the corner, near the windows, Elliot and Mara stood in their own silent storm. Lena was still at the terminal, talking with Ben and Sari. She had not noticed yet. Elliot kept his voice low. I had a right to know. Mara's voice was steady. You had a company to build. Investors to impress. A future that didn't include distractions. You think our child is a distraction? I think that's what you would have called it back then. Elliot flinched. You don't know that. Mara's eyes softened, but her voice stayed firm. Elliot, you were 29. You were raising your second round. You worked 100 hours a week. You told me yourself you didn't have room for anything else. That didn't mean I wouldn't have tried. It meant you would have resented it. And I wasn't going to let my daughter grow up feeling like a burden. Elliot's throat tightened. So you just left. I protected her. And I protected you. From what? From a choice you weren't ready to make. Silence settled between them. Then Elliot spoke again, his voice breaking. She's 15, Mara. I missed 15 years. I know. Does she know about me? Mara hesitated. She knows I worked here once. She knows I left. She doesn't know why. Are you going to tell her? Mara looked across the room at Lena, who was laughing at something Sari said. Not today. Elliot followed her gaze. Watched his daughter. A stranger who just saved everything he built. What's she like? Mara's voice softened. Brilliant. Kind. Stubborn. She doesn't care about status. She cares about problems worth solving. She sounds like you. Mara smiled faintly. She codes like you. Elliot's breath caught. Does she want to work here? She wants to understand systems. She wants to build things that matter. Whether that's here or somewhere else, I don't know. If she stays, people will talk. Let them. Elliot looked at Mara. I want to know her. Mara's expression was cautious. That's not up to me. What do you mean? I mean you don't get to decide the terms. She does. If she wants to know you, I won't stop it. But I won't push it either. Elliot nodded slowly. Fair. Across the room, Lena stood and stretched. She turned and saw her mother talking to Elliot. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Curious. She walked over. Mom, are we leaving? Mara glanced at Elliot. Then back at Lena. Soon. Lena looked at Elliot. Extended her hand. I'm Lena. Elliot shook her hand, his voice careful. Elliot Vane. Thank you for what you did today. You're welcome. Your system has good bones. It just needed someone to listen to it. Elliot almost smiled. Not many people talk about systems like they're alive. Lena shrugged. They kind of are. They learn. They adapt. They break when they're ignored. Elliot's chest ached. She sounded exactly like him. Where did you learn to code? My mom taught me the basics. The rest I taught myself. Elliot glanced at Mara. She was watching them carefully. You're very talented. Lena's cheeks flushed slightly. Thank you. Have you thought about what you want to do after school? Build things. Solve problems. Maybe work somewhere that doesn't treat code like a product. More like a language. Elliot's voice was gentle. If you ever want to come back here, we'd be lucky to have you. Lena smiled. I'll think about it. She turned to Mara. Ready? Mara nodded. They walked toward the elevator. Elliot watched them go. Just before the doors closed, Lena looked back at him. Her expression curious. Like she was trying to place something familiar. Then the doors slid shut. Oliver appeared at Elliot's side. You okay? Elliot's voice was hollow. I just met my daughter. And she has no idea who I am. Oliver said nothing. There was nothing to say. If you've ever missed something you didn't know you had, drop a comment and tell me how you found out. And if this story is reminding you that some truths wait until you're ready to hear them, hit that subscribe button. The news of the fix spread quickly. By the next morning, tech blogs were calling it the fastest recovery in Vane Systems history. But inside the company, people were asking a different question. Who was the 15-year-old who saved them? Elliot sat in his office, staring at his computer screen. He had pulled every piece of information he could find. School records. Competition results. Open source contributions. Lena Quinn was a ghost in the best way. No social media. No public profiles. Just code. Clean, elegant, brilliant code. She had won 3 national coding competitions under a pseudonym. She had contributed to a dozen open-source projects. And she had done it all quietly. Just like her mother. Oliver knocked and entered. The press wants a statement. They want to know who fixed the system. Elliot leaned back. We don't name minors in press releases. They are going to find out anyway. Then we confirm nothing. We praise the team. We move on. Oliver sat down. Elliot, you can't just pretend this didn't happen. I'm not pretending. I'm protecting her. From what? From being used. From being turned into a headline. From people who will only see her as a story. Oliver studied him. Or you're protecting yourself. Elliot met his eyes. Maybe both. Oliver sighed. What are you going to do? I don't know. Are you going to tell her? Elliot's voice was quiet. That's not my choice to make. Oliver stood. For what it's worth, she's remarkable. And she deserves to know. I know. After Oliver left, Elliot opened a new document. Started typing. Stopped. Deleted it. He tried again. Dear Lena. No. Too formal. Lena. Still wrong. He closed the laptop. He could not find the words. Not yet. The look he couldn't explain. A week later, Mara received an email. From Elliot Vane. Subject, a conversation. Mara. I would like to talk. Not about the past. About the future. About Lena. Please let me know when you're available. Elliot. She read it 3 times. Then showed it to Lena. What do you think? Lena looked up from her homework. About what? Mr. Vane wants to talk. About the bug fix? Mara hesitated. About you. Lena frowned. Why? Because you impressed him. Lena set down her pencil. Mom, what's going on? Mara sat down across from her. There's something I need to tell you. Lena's expression shifted. Wary now. Okay. Mara took a breath. I used to work at Vane Systems. A long time ago. Before you were born. I know. You told me. What I didn't tell you was that Elliot and I were close. Very close. Lena's eyes widened slightly. Like, together? Yes. What happened? Mara's voice was careful. We wanted different things. He wanted to build a company. I wanted a life. So I left. And you didn't tell him about me. It was not a question. Mara's silence confirmed it. Lena sat back, processing. Does he know now? Mara nodded. He figured it out. When he saw you. Lena's voice was small. Is he my father? Yes. Lena stood. Walked to the window. Stared out at the street below. Mara waited. Finally, Lena spoke. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to protect you. From what? From being defined by him. From people treating you differently because of who your father is. From growing up in his shadow. Lena turned. That wasn't your choice to make. Mara's voice broke. I know. And I'm sorry. Lena's eyes filled with tears. Does he want to meet me? Like, actually meet me? Yes. Lena wiped her face. Do you want me to? Mara stood and walked over. I want you to do whatever feels right to you. Lena nodded slowly. Okay. I'll think about it. That night, Lena sat at her computer. She pulled up everything she could find on Elliot Vane. Interviews. Articles. Speeches. She watched a keynote he gave 3 years ago. He talked about systems. About the importance of listening to what breaks. About humility in the face of complexity. He sounded like someone she would respect. But he was also someone who did not know she existed until a week ago. She closed her laptop. Lay down on her bed. Stared at the ceiling. And wondered what it would be like to meet the man who was half of her DNA but none of her history. Conversations that don't fix themselves. 2 weeks passed before Lena agreed to meet Elliot. Not at his office. Not at a restaurant. At a coffee shop halfway between her school and his building. Neutral ground. Elliot arrived 15 minutes early. Ordered a coffee he did not drink. Sat at a table near the window and watched people pass by. He had given 100 presentations. Negotiated billion-dollar deals. Stood in front of shareholders and defended decisions that moved markets. But waiting for his daughter made his hands shake. At exactly 4 p.m., Lena walked in. She wore jeans and a hoodie. Backpack slung over one shoulder. She scanned the room, found him, and walked over. Elliot stood. Lena. Hi. They sat down. Silence stretched between them. Elliot cleared his throat. Thank you for coming. My mom said you wanted to talk. I do. I just don't know where to start. Lena's voice was calm but guarded. How about why you didn't know I existed? Elliot winced. Your mother never told me. And before you ask why, I think it was because I gave her no reason to believe I would have been a good father. Did you love her? Elliot met her eyes. Yes. Then why did she leave? Because I loved my company more. Or at least, I acted like I did. Lena absorbed this. Do you regret it? Every day since I found out about you. But not before. Elliot's voice was quiet. No. Not before. I was too busy. Too focused. Too sure that what I was building mattered more than anything else. And now? Now I know I was wrong. Lena leaned back. What do you want from me? Elliot took a breath. I want to know you. Not because I have a right to. I don't. But because I would like the chance. Why? Because you are brilliant. And brave. And you saved my company without asking for anything in return. And because you are my daughter. And I have already missed 15 years. I don't want to miss any more. Lena's expression softened slightly. I don't need a father. I know. I have a mom. She's been enough. I know that too. So what are you offering? Elliot hesitated. Honestly, I don't know. I have never done this before. I don't know how to be a parent. But I am willing to learn. If you are willing to let me try. Lena was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. I don't want money. Or opportunities because of your name. If we do this, it has to be real. Elliot nodded. Agreed. And I don't want you trying to make up for 15 years in 15 days. That's not how this works. Okay. And if I decide I don't want this, you have to respect that. I will. Lena studied him. Searching for dishonesty. She found none. Okay. Okay. I'll give you a chance. But you have to earn it. Elliot's voice was thick. I will. They sat in silence. Not comfortable yet. But not hostile either. Then Lena asked a question. What was my mom like? When you knew her? Elliot's face softened. She was the smartest person I had ever met. She saw problems 3 steps ahead. She cared about why things mattered, not just whether they worked. She kept me grounded when I was getting lost in ambition. Did you know she was pregnant when she left? No. She never told me. Would it have changed anything? Elliot's answer was honest. I don't know. I want to say yes. But I was a different person back then. And now? Now I am trying to be better. Lena nodded slowly. Okay. That's a start. They talked for another hour. Not about the past. About systems. About code. About problems worth solving. And by the end, something fragile had begun to form. Not trust. Not yet. But possibility. When Lena left, Elliot sat alone for a long time. He pulled out his phone. Texted Mara. Thank you. She replied 3 minutes later. Don't thank me. Thank her. And don't mess this up. He typed back. I won't. He meant it. What actually changed? Elliot did not try to rush things. He sent Lena an email once a week. Not long. Just a question or a thought. Something about code. Or design. Or a problem he was working on. She did not always reply. But when she did, her answers were thoughtful. 3 weeks after their coffee meeting, Elliot invited Lena to sit in on a technical review meeting. Not as his daughter. As a consultant. Lena agreed. She showed up on a Thursday afternoon. Oliver met her in the lobby. Good to see you again. You too. He is nervous. Lena smiled slightly. Good. Oliver led her to a conference room. Inside, 6 engineers were debating a performance issue. Elliot stood when she entered. "Everyone, this is Lena Quinn. She is consulting with us on this issue." A few engineers nodded. Others looked skeptical. One, a man named Derek, crossed his arms. "No offense, but we have been working on this for 3 weeks. What makes you think you can help?" Lena's voice was calm. "I don't know if I can. But I'm happy to listen and offer a perspective." Derek leaned back, unconvinced. The lead engineer, a woman named Priya, gestured to the whiteboard. "We have a memory leak. We have traced it to the caching layer. But every time we patch it, it reappears somewhere else." Lena studied the diagram. "Can I see the code?" Priya pulled it up on the screen. Lena read through it silently. Then she pointed. "Here. You're clearing the cache, but you're not releasing the reference. We tried that. It didn't work. Did you clear the parent reference or the child reference?" "The parent. That's your problem. The child reference is holding a pointer. You need to null it explicitly." Priya's eyes widened. "Oh my God. You're right." Derek frowned. "That's basic garbage collection. We would have caught that." Lena looked at him. "You would have. Eventually. But sometimes a fresh perspective saves time." Derek said nothing. But his skepticism faded. The fix was deployed that afternoon. The memory leak disappeared. After the meeting, Elliot walked Lena to the elevator. "Thank you." "You already thanked me. I mean for coming. For helping. For giving me a chance." Lena pressed the button. "You're not terrible at this." Elliot smiled. "High praise. Don't let it go to your head." The elevator arrived. Lena stepped in. Before the doors closed, she spoke. "Same time next week?" Elliot's heart lifted. "Yes. Absolutely." The doors closed. Oliver appeared beside him. "She's incredible." Elliot nodded. "She is. You're going to have to tell people eventually." "I know. When? When she's ready." That night, Elliot sat in his office and drafted a memo. He had decided to overhaul the engineering hiring process. To prioritize problem-solving over pedigree. To value insight over credentials. It was a small change. But it was a start. Because Lena had shown him something he had forgotten. Brilliance does not wait for permission. And the best solutions often come from the people you almost overlooked. Some systems only fail once. Over the next 6 months, Lena became a regular presence at Vane Systems. Not as an employee. As a collaborator. She worked on projects that interested her. Declined ones that did not. Set her own hours. Kept her own terms. The engineers respected her. Not because of who her father was. Most of them did not know. But because she delivered. Elliot watched from a distance. He did not hover. Did not micromanage. Did not try to force a relationship. He just showed up. Consistently. Once a week, they had coffee. Sometimes they talked about work. Sometimes about life. Sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence. Slowly, Lena began to let him in. One evening, after a particularly difficult debugging session, Lena asked Elliot a question. "Do you ever regret how you built this company?" Elliot looked up, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you made a lot of compromises. Moved fast. Broke things. Prioritized growth over stability." Elliot nodded slowly. "Yes. I do regret some of it." "Why did you do it that way?" "Because I thought speed mattered more than foundation. I thought if I didn't move fast, someone else would beat me." "Were you right?" Partially. Speed helped us win markets. But it also created debt. Technical debt. Cultural debt. The kind that catches up eventually. Like the validation loop. Exactly. Lena was quiet for a moment. If you could do it over, would you do it differently? Elliot's answer was immediate. Yes. How? I would build slower. I would listen more. I would value the people who told me I was wrong instead of dismissing them. He paused. I would have made room for the things that mattered. Not just the things that were urgent. Lena nodded. That's a good answer. Is it the one you wanted? It's an honest one. That's better. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Lena spoke again. I've been thinking. About what? About coming here full-time. After I graduate. Elliot's breath caught. You don't have to decide now. I know. But I want to. I like the problems here. I like the people. And I think I could make a difference. You already have. Lena smiled. Then imagine what I could do with 4 more years of experience. Elliot laughed. You would terrify the board. Good. Elliot's voice softened. Whatever you decide, I am proud of you. Lena looked at him. Thanks, Dad. It was the first time she had called him that. Elliot's eyes filled. He did not try to hide it. You're welcome. That night, Elliot called Mara. She called me Dad. Mara's voice was warm. I know. She told me. Thank you. For letting me be part of her life. You earned it, Elliot. I'm still trying. I know. That's why it's working. They talked for another hour. Not about the past. About Lena. About the future. About co-parenting a teenager neither of them expected to share. It was not perfect. But it was real. And that was enough. If you've ever been given a second chance you didn't deserve, tell us what you did with it in the comments. And if this story is reminding you that some relationships are built one small moment at a time, share it with someone who needs to hear that patience wins. A year after the system failure, Vane Systems held its annual company-wide meeting. Elliot stood on stage in front of 3,000 employees. He talked about growth. About challenges. About the importance of listening to systems before they break. And then he talked about something he had never discussed publicly. A year ago, we nearly lost everything. Not because of a cyber attack. Not because of a competitor. But because our system was confused. And we were too proud to admit we didn't understand it. The room was silent. We were saved by someone who saw what we missed. Someone who listened when we were too busy talking. Someone who understood that brilliance doesn't need a title. He paused. That person is here today. And I would like to introduce her. He gestured to the side of the stage. Lena Quinn. Lena walked out. The room erupted in applause. She stood beside Elliot, calm and composed. Elliot continued. Lena has been consulting with us for the past year. And starting next month, she will be joining us full-time as a principal engineer. More applause. Lena stepped up to the microphone. Thank you. I am honored to be here. And I am excited to keep solving problems with all of you. She paused. But I also want to say something. I did not save this company alone. I had help. From engineers who listened. From a CTO who trusted a 15-year-old. And from a CEO who was willing to admit he didn't have all the answers. She glanced at Elliot. That's the kind of culture worth building. One where the best idea wins. Not the loudest voice. Not the highest title. The best idea. The room erupted again. When Lena stepped off stage, Elliot met her. That was perfect. I meant it. I know. They walked backstage together. Mara was waiting. She hugged Lena. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Mom. Mara looked at Elliot. You did good. We did good. Mara smiled. Yeah. We did. That evening, the three of them had dinner together. Not at a fancy restaurant. At Mara's apartment. Lena cooked pasta. Elliot brought wine. Mara set the table. It was ordinary. Comfortable. Real. After dinner, Lena excused herself to finish some homework. Mara and Elliot sat on the couch. This is strange, isn't it? Elliot smiled. Very. But good. Yeah. Good. Mara looked at him. I never thought we'd get here. Neither did I. Do you regret how it happened? Elliot thought for a long moment. I regret the years I missed. But I don't regret where we are now. Mara nodded. Me too. They sat in silence. Two people who loved the same person in different ways. Who built a family that did not look like anyone else's. But worked anyway. What genius looks like when it listens back. 2 years later, Lena stood in front of the same operations center where she had fixed the validation loop. But this time, she was not a visitor. She was leading the rebuild. The company had decided to overhaul the entire transaction system. To build it right. From the ground up. And they had put Lena in charge. She stood at the whiteboard, surrounded by a team of 12 engineers. Some older than her. Some more experienced. All of them willing to follow her lead. Okay. Let's walk through the architecture one more time. She drew the system flow. Clean. Elegant. Resilient. One of the engineers, Derek, the same one who had doubted her 2 years ago, raised his hand. Why are we building in redundancy at every layer? It's expensive. Lena's answer was patient. Because systems fail. And when they do, I want them to fail gracefully. I want them to tell us what's wrong before it's catastrophic. Derek nodded. That makes sense. Another engineer, sorry, spoke up. This is going to take longer than the original timeline. Yes. But it will last longer too. Elliot watched from the back of the room. He did not interrupt. Did not offer input. He just observed. After the meeting, Lena found him. You didn't say anything. You didn't need me to. Still. You're the CEO. And you're the lead engineer. This is your system. Lena smiled. It's our system. Elliot's voice was warm. Fair enough. They walked together toward the elevator. How does it feel? Leading something this big? Lena thought for a moment. Scary. Exciting. Right. That's how I felt when I started this company. Really? Elliot nodded. Except I didn't have anyone to guide me. You do. Who? Me. Your mom. Oliver. Sorry. Derek. All of us. Lena's voice was soft. I'm lucky. We're lucky. They reached the elevator. Lena pressed the button. Dad? Yeah. Thanks for not trying to run this for me. Elliot smiled. Thanks for letting me watch. The doors opened. Lena stepped in. See you at home. It was the first time she had called his place home. Elliot's chest tightened. See you there. The doors closed. Elliot stood alone in the hallway. And for the first time in years, he felt complete. Not because he had built a billion-dollar company. but because he had built a relationship with his daughter. One conversation. One coffee. One honest moment at a time. 6 months later, the new system went live. No crashes. No failures. No loops. It worked exactly as designed. Lena stood in the operations center, watching the metrics. Green across the board. Elliot stood beside her. How does it feel? Like we built something that will last. We did. Lena looked at him. You know what the best part is? What? We did it without cutting corners. Without sacrificing people. Without pretending speed was more important than integrity. Elliot's voice was thick. Your mom would be proud. She is. I told her this morning. Elliot smiled. Of course you did. They stood together. Father and daughter. Engineer and engineer. Partners in a system that finally worked the way it was supposed to. Not because it was fast. But because it was built with care. That night, the company held a celebration. Lena gave a short speech. Thanked her team. Acknowledged the risks they took. Celebrated the result. And then she did something unexpected. She called Mara onto the stage. Mom, can you come up here? Mara looked surprised. She walked up slowly. Lena handed her the microphone. I want everyone to know that the reason I understand systems is because my mom taught me. She taught me to listen. To care. To build things that serve people, not just profits. Mara's eyes filled. Lena continued. She did that while working full-time. While raising me alone. While making sure I knew I was enough, even when the world told me I had to be more. She turned to Mara. So this success is yours too. The room erupted in applause. Mara hugged Lena tightly. Whispered something no one else could hear. Elliot watched from the side. His heart full. Oliver appeared beside him. You have an incredible family. Elliot nodded. I do. How does it feel? Like I finally understand what I was supposed to be building all along. Oliver smiled. Better late than never. Yeah. Better late than never. The lesson that rewrote the system. 3 years after Lena joined Vane Systems full-time, the company launched a new initiative. The Lena Quinn Fellowship. It was a program designed to identify young engineers from underrepresented backgrounds. To give them access. Mentorship. Opportunity. Lena stood on stage at the launch event. This fellowship exists because I was lucky. I had a mother who believed in me. I had access to resources. I had people who gave me a chance. She paused. But not everyone has that. And talent is everywhere. Opportunity is not. She looked out at the audience. This program is designed to change that. To find the brilliant minds who are being overlooked. To give them the tools, the support, and the platform to build the future. The applause was overwhelming. After the event, a young woman approached Lena. Ms. Quinn, I just want to say thank you. I'm one of the first fellows. And this program is changing my life. Lena smiled. What's your name? Anika. What are you working on, Anika? A system to detect bias in hiring algorithms. Lena's eyes lit up. That's incredible. I'd love to hear more. They talked for 20 minutes. About code. About ethics. About building systems that serve everyone. When Anika left, Elliot walked over. You're good at this. At what? At seeing people. At making them feel like they matter. Elliot paused. You get that from your mom. Lena smiled. And from you. Elliot's voice was quiet. I'm still learning. We all are. They stood together, watching the next generation of engineers mingle and connect. And Elliot realized something. Legacy was not about the company he built. It was about the people he empowered. The culture he created. The daughter who carried forward the best parts of him and left behind the worst. That was worth more than any valuation. 5 years after the system failure that brought them together, Lena stood in her own office. She had been promoted to Chief Technology Officer. The youngest in the company's history. Elliot knocked on her door. Got a minute? Always. He sat down. I wanted to talk to you about something. Okay. I'm stepping down as CEO. Lena's eyes widened. What? It's time. I've been doing this for 23 years. And I think the company needs fresh leadership. Who are you thinking? Oliver. He's ready. And he has the vision to take us forward. Lena nodded slowly. What are you going to do? Elliot smiled. I'm going to teach. Mentor. Spend time with your mom. Maybe travel. I don't know. But I'm ready to let go. How does that feel? Scary. Liberating. Right. Lena smiled. That's how I felt when I built the new system. Elliot laughed. Then I'm in good company. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Lena spoke. Dad? Yeah. I'm glad you found me. Elliot's voice broke. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. He stood. Hugged her. Held on a little longer than necessary. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. I'm proud of you. Every single day. I'm proud of you too. Elliot left. Lena sat alone in her office. Looked out at the city. At the systems humming below. At the future she was building. And she thought about the moment that changed everything. A failing system. A desperate company. A teenager who saw what no one else could. She had not fixed the system because she wanted recognition. She fixed it because it needed fixing. And in doing so, she had fixed something else. A family that did not know it was broken. A father who did not know he had a daughter. A legacy that was waiting to be rewritten. Some systems only fail once. And sometimes, the failure is the beginning of something better. Epilogue. 20 years after Lena pressed deploy, she stood on stage at a technology conference. She was 35 now. A respected leader. A published author. A mother herself. Her daughter, Maya, sat in the front row beside Mara and Elliot. Lena spoke about systems. About resilience. About the importance of listening before acting. And then she told a story. When I was 15, I walked into a crisis I was not supposed to solve. I was just there to tour the building. But I saw a problem. And I could not walk away. She paused. What I did not know was that fixing that system would introduce me to my father. A man I had never met. A man who had no idea I existed. The audience was silent. Over the last 20 years, we have built something together. Not just code. But trust. Respect. A relationship that started with a single line of honest conversation. She looked at Elliot. He taught me that it is never too late to show up. That legacy is not what you build. It is how you build it. And who you build it with. Her voice softened. And I taught him that brilliance does not wait for permission. That the people you overlook might be the ones who save you. And that some of the best systems are the ones built slowly, with care, by people who love what they are creating. She smiled. We are still building. And I think we will be for the rest of our lives. The applause was deafening. After the talk, Lena joined her family. Maya ran up and hugged her. Mommy, you were amazing. Lena picked her up. Thank you, sweetheart. Mara hugged her next. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Mom. Elliot was last. He pulled Lena into a tight hug. That was perfect. Lena pulled back. I meant every word. I know. They walked out together. For generations. A family built not by biology alone, but by choice. By effort. By showing up. That night, Lena sat with her daughter before bed. Maya looked up at her. Mommy, Grandpa Elliot said you saved his company when you were my age. I was a little older. But yes. Were you scared? A little. What did you do? I trusted what I knew. And I asked for help when I needed it. Maya nodded seriously. I want to be like you when I grow up. Lena's heart swelled. You can be even better. She kissed Maya's forehead. Turned off the light. Closed the door. Then she walked downstairs. Elliot and Mara were sitting in the living room, talking quietly. Lena joined them. They sat together. Three people who had built something imperfect and beautiful. Who had made mistakes and repaired them. Who had chosen love over pride. And as the night settled around them, Lena thought about the system that had brought them together. It had not failed because it was broken. It had failed because it was confused. Because it did not trust itself. And the fix was not just code. It was clarity. Understanding. Listening. The same things that fixed families. Relationships. Lives. Some systems only fail once. And when they do, they teach you everything you need to know about what matters. Not speed. Not scale. Not dominance. But connection. Trust. The courage to admit you do not have all the answers. And the wisdom to listen when someone else does. Sometimes the most important fix is not the one you deploy to a server. It is the one you deploy to your life. The moment you stop ignoring the people who matter. The moment you choose presence over performance. The moment you realize that brilliance has been standing in front of you all along. You just were not looking. Elliot learned that a billion-dollar system could be saved by a 15-year-old he did not know existed. And that the greatest failure of his life was not a crashed server. It was the daughter he almost never met. Lena learned that genius is not about being the smartest person in the room. It is about seeing what others miss. And having the courage to speak up when everyone else is too proud to listen. And Mara learned that protecting someone you love does not mean hiding the truth. It means giving them the space to decide what truth means to them. If this story reminded you that the people you overlook might be the ones holding everything together, share it. Tag someone who saw potential in you when no one else did. And subscribe to Mr. Ellington Love Lines, where every story proves that the best systems are built by people who care more about connection than control. Now go. Listen to the voices you have been ignoring. Notice the brilliance you have been overlooking. And remember that sometimes, the person who saves you is the one you never knew you needed. Because legacy is not what you build alone. It is what you build together. One honest conversation. One act of trust. One moment of courage at a time.